And we are live once again for episode 164 of the Behind the Tool Belt, live from Orlando at the Roofing Process Conference. Amazing. And I'm Ty. Thank you very much for tuning in.
TC Backer. Roofing, siding, windows, gutters, solar. Roofing, siding, windows, gutters, solar. TC Backer.
Behind the Tool Belt is sponsored by LeadScout. Find out more at LeadScoutApp.com.
TC Backer.
And we're live. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. I'm with some special people. Chris Hofstra, Joe Salowitz with LeadScout. So what's happening, fellas?
Well, we're at Roofing Process right now, and we've been having a great time. If you've been tuning in at all today, a little bit yesterday, I mean, we've been live a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You've been live a lot.
Yes,
You've been
I
interviewing
feel
a
live.
lot of people.
Do you feel it?
I feel live. Yes.
But we're excited to be down here. LeadScout's got a booth down here, pairing up with Behind the Tool Belt, and we've seen a lot of action. I mean, this is a great conference. We've seen just so many contractors coming through. We have just a lot of great vendors here as well. So props to Roofing Insights and Dimitri for putting on the show. It's been a really, really great show thus far.
Yeah. No, seriously. I mean, I was shocked how many contractors are here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, it's great. Patrick Bet Davis. I missed that, man. That was going to be the one that I actually wanted to go see. The keynote speaker. I mean, he's a heavy hitter, at least in my world. I read his book, Your Next 5 Moves, and then following on YouTube and Facebook and all that stuff. And that guy has dropped some major golden goose eggs all over the place, I'm sure, over there. Unfortunately, we got to miss him, but I thought I saw him. Is he here tomorrow too? Doing something?
I think he might be. Yeah. I haven't even had the chance to go out there. I've been talking to so many contractors and so many other vendors. I haven't even had the chance to get to a main stage event yet.
Yeah.
The setup is sweet because even though I'm not over there, I'm actually picking it up.
Yeah.
And so like having the breakouts all over there, the speakers and everybody here in the same area is awesome. And I haven't actually seen that. Like this is what our like 5th or 6th one, Joe.
Yeah.
And I have not seen that setup and I really like it.
Yeah. Feels very intimate, but it is still a large venue.
Yeah,
it is. And I love Orlando. I love the Orange County Conference Center. It's just
the weather's good. Certainly not.
Yes,
a bad thing.
Yeah, you know, it could be better. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's beautiful down here. It really is. Our rooms are close by the hotel and stuff like that. It's a great place to hold a conference. And like you said, the intimacy, but not so intimate. I mean, it's not a huge, and it's not overwhelming.
Yeah.
Right. And like I said, you guys said that a lot of traffic coming through your booth here and our booth and them allowing us to be here and us tag teaming this together has been quite the experience over the past, month and a half or so. We've been road dogging it, man. Dude, when I go home, I miss Chris's face in the morning, Javi's and Ippy's up in Jersey, but he's moving to PA soon. But it's been one hell of a journey. And I think we've learned a lot personally and professionally about each other and have grown closer because of it.
What's the longest stretch you have been at home in the last 2 months?
Longest stretch, probably 4 days.
4 days. So you've been traveling consecutively with just a few gaps in between.
Yeah,
gotta be
just a
hard.
few gaps.
And by traveling, he means
what do you-
actually driving here from PA.
Yeah, we did.
driving
We
from
drove
thing to
here.
thing, yeah.
Now this is the
So
first time
fill us
I
in.
drove.
What have you been doing?
What have we been doing? So we just finished up a home show this past weekend. The week before that, we were in Denton,
Okay.
Texas, and then
Doing
came home for a week. And then we were in Utah for like a week and a half, almost 2 weeks
Yep.
for two shows out there.
SRC Summit, D2D Con.
Yeah.
You had
Yeah.
you had a
Jen
whole
Silver's
final.
Yeah, one industry.
one industry, one model.
Yeah.
We got roofing process, but then you also had a home show.
Yeah,
you
home
were
show.
at back in PA, right?
Back in PA.
Is that your first of the year?
That was our first. Our second's going to be this weekend. So when we get home Friday night,
Jeez.
Yeah.
Saturday, we'll be in Gettysburg,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool because this is a good shot in the arm for us for the beginning of spring to do the home shows. And this reminds me a lot of that, just promoting and marketing to B2B, not to the homeowner. So it kind of falls right in line with what we're doing. And I tell you, to keep my days straight and like where we're at today, like it takes me a minute to think. So if you see me
that's what the
hesitating,
cue cards are for.
Yeah, so
We're
if you
in
see-
Orlando.
right. So
Orlando,
if you see
thanks.
me hesitating, it's nothing against the convention where we're at or anything that we're doing. It's just, it's like the past month and a half has just run together. Yeah.
It's like you're a rock band and you're like, we love you.
Yeah.
Orlando.
Yeah.
Touring through all that.
Yeah. Minus the drugs, you know,
yeah.
but it's
And the
been like Vic
hookers.
says, powered by Red Bull, which
Powered by Red
hopefully
Bull. There we go.
after all of this, see there for a minute, I was going to do one shotgun a day and record it and hashtag Red Bull in it. But I thought I better not do that. Like I'm actually trying to tone it down. I think I've only had about 6 today, opposed to like the normal
That's a lot.
12. And it's not doing anything anymore. At least today, it's not. Yesterday had a pretty good effect on me, but today I cannot like get like that burst of energy. So maybe tonight, like you said, Joe, we'll just kind of chillax around the fire, and
Let's do it. Let's go get a nice dinner together, maybe.
yeah.
Like a burger or something.
Yeah.
Sounds great, but I don't think anybody wants to hear about our dinner
Yeah,
plans.
why not?
So
I do have a question. I'm gonna just jump in. Sorry,
jump
'cause
in.
I'm chomping at the bit because I thought we were talking about like what's a good topic for tonight.
Yeah.
I had an interesting conversation with a commercial real estate agent
Mhm.
during the Super Bowl,
Oh.
and he seemed very optimistic about the economy this year.
Yeah.
With interest rates and just some of the things he's seeing macroly. So I'm curious, Ty, having just had a home show.
Yeah.
What is the vibe? What are you guys feeling from the consumer? Because that was B2C.
Yeah.
For TC Backer Construction, and like, what are your
Okay.
thoughts here in this
Thoughts?
next couple months?
I mean, being in the industry that we're in, okay, so you got new construction, you got retail, right? So regardless if the interest rates stay up, I think at some point in time, people are going to get used to that and just, it's going to become the normal, right? I do see it coming down at some point. The good thing about new housing is that there's a lack of, there's just not enough housing. There's too many people. We have the biggest generation of people that we've ever seen. That's the millennials. And now what? You got Gen Zs coming up through that are looking to buy homes. Well, they don't know what it's like to have a 2.375% interest rate, right?
They need to buy.
Right. And let's
Yeah.
face it, borrowing money right now is still cheap. I mean,
Yeah,
5 or 6,
relatively
even a
speaking, it
7%
is.
interest rate
Yes,
on
True, yeah.
on a home, it's always a good time to buy a home because what happens? Interest rates go up, the cost of living or home housing comes down. So it would pick your poison. Do you want a cheap interest rate, or do you want an expensive home, or do you want a cheap home with a higher interest rate? And let's face it, in 2 years you'll be able to refinance that anyhow.
Yeah.
So it's always a good time to invest in real estate. It doesn't matter. And I think people get freaked out because of the last great recession we had and all of these things and how long. But the difference today between then is that the money, it was bad money that was being loaned to people.
Right.
It was A, B, C, and D money,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So the circumstances are different. We're just going through a minor correction right now, but there's always opportunity there. Now, on the retail aspect of things, those who may not want to buy a home now for whatever reason the case might be, and we're kind of like in a weird transition before the housing market, like the cost of a home comes down and the interest rate, so we're kind of still in that weird transition right now. So what most people are probably doing is reinvesting in their current homes. So as far as the retail model goes, rather than buying. So I feel like, I mean, either way, I think things are going to be okay. And it's kind of cleansing the air a little bit. You know what I mean? We needed a correction. We needed inflation to come down, and we're in the middle of that.
That makes a ton of sense too. So instead of investing in like moving and doing that big purchase of a new home or building something, they might say, I'm going to take what I've saved up. I might still finance it because interest rates are high, but for a lower cost purchase like a roof, it's definitely cheaper than buying a new house. Like it's not as much of a burden to have a high interest rate.
Right.
So there's still a lot of renovation that can happen. That's great for the retail market.
Yes.
So I got a question for you about, you just were at a home show. What did you see from that as far as people's interest in buying from you as a retail contractor?
So the reaction that we saw is okay, COVID's gone.
Yeah.
Right. So more people have come out of the woodwork and again are trying to reinvest into their home.
Yeah.
So we saw a lot of traffic. There was a lot of people looking into solar. There was a lot of people looking to save cost on energy. Like what could they do? Can they get attic insulation, proper ventilation, insulated siding, insulated windows, solar? They were looking for things like that. And I'll be honest with you, we probably got more the leads, the quality of the people that came through. There was less tire kickers and more serious buyers.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Can you speak on the solar situation in PA?
Yeah.
At all, like in terms of like what does a homeowner have to be thinking about when they're thinking about solar?
What do they need to be thinking about? Probably the 30% federal tax credit.
Okay.
That's a huge incentive. A lot of electric companies, once you get it plugged in, will give you incentives like $1,500, $2,500. I know Delaware's like that. Pennsylvania is slowly starting to come around to incentives, for homeowners. But the biggest thing right now, which is actually national, is a 30% federal tax credit.
Yeah, and that's huge.
That is huge
on the cost of the system, right?
Yes.
The system's $50K.
Yeah.
They get 15 grand as a credit on there.
Yes.
Does PA? I know that it differs per state. What is PA's regulations like, or rather, utility companies in PA? How are they treating solar? Are they kind of controlling the process? We're from Michigan, and I think the utilities there have classically controlled it pretty tightly.
Yeah.
It's a net metering program. And it's gotten a little bit better. People gotten turned on to it, and they're like, we really want solar. We don't want the utilities controlling that, but it's still pretty tight. What's it up?
I think it's a little bit looser.
PA?
It's very similar. Okay. Now you can have backup batteries.
You can.
Yes. So in Pennsylvania, you can have backup batteries.
Yeah.
We do net metering.
Yeah.
So basically they're calculating what you're producing from your home. And then basically, if anything, you'll only get a credit. You won't get paid.
Yeah. But you can still store it.
Yeah.
And kind of like cycle that back into your house if you need to. It doesn't have to go directly to the grid.
Exactly.
And net metering is when you sell it to the energy company for the same amount that you buy from them.
Maybe that's what it means in Michigan.
What does it mean? I guess I
think all state regulations are different. My understanding of it in Michigan, it's limited understanding, would be that it's going to go back to the utility company. They will buy it from you. So you use what you need right in the moment. And it goes back to the utility company in Michigan. They will pay you for it, but then you will buy it if you go over, like in say the winter months.
Yeah, but wait, what will they pay you for it though? Will they pay what you're buying from them?
No. So then you will buy back what you need, and it's always a higher price point.
Okay.
So that's what I mean by utilities controlling it.
Yeah.
They've still they were early to the solar game in a lot of states.
Mm-hmm.
They were able to control it to make sure that it's profitable for them. And a lot of communities now are starting to say, hey, we want solar. We don't like how restrictive it is. So there's legislation that's, kind of making its way into state houses and stuff to try to change that.
Yeah,
and then,
like you said, each state varies. Like California is probably like the best state to live in when it comes to solar because any new home being built right now is required to have solar on it, which is kind of nifty as long as their grids can handle that, right? Everything going energy. I think we're in some cases we might be putting the cart before the horse. Like there's probably some upgrades of things that we should be doing before we get too far into electric vehicles and things like that. Is it a great idea? Yeah. Do I feel like that we should be the powers to be across the nation that we're producing more solar energy than anyone else in the country or in the world? Absolutely. But I also think that we should be the oil king of the world as well. I think
put a lot of your eggs in a lot of different baskets.
Yeah, right. I feel like, with the resources that we have
it's
in this country, there's no reason that we can't be the power of everything,
right.
or at least the leading innovator of these powers.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree. There's some interesting stuff since we're on the solar train. There's some interesting stuff on the front of community solar too. Have you guys ever heard about that?
No.
So, and this is, I think, it's actually not so much, what we're doing right now is installing solar panels on residential houses. Like that's a big push right now. But there's also this idea of community solar. So you take a neighborhood, whether it's tract homes or just your classic, 1970s neighborhood, and you basically find a space in that neighborhood, a park, and you install solar panels there.
Yeah.
And then the community draws on that, right?
No,
So
I
it's
have
not-
heard of that.
Yeah. So it's not on
Years,
top
years
of the
ago.
houses.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, I think the utility companies classically have kind of pushed against that
course.
approach.
Mhm.
But there's a lot of progress being made, and there's so much opportunity with that.
There
And
really
I
is.
totally agree with you. I mean, I think a distributed approach to energy makes us stronger as a community, makes us stronger as a nation.
Yes.
You see that when infrastructure fails at a centralized location. I sound like a crypto trader right now. Like
Yeah.
decentralization is the way. It's true. I think it's truly the way for energy of the future. But
Yeah.
we do have to pace.
Yeah, I'm
ourselves
down.
in
I
it.
mean, I put
Yeah.
solar on our place because with the rising cost of energy, why
didn't
wouldn't
know
you
that.
want
You
to
did
go
solar.
with solar?
Right, yeah.
I mean, that's just how I feel. I wish
Yeah.
I would have went with the suggested amount so I could end up with zero electric
'Cause you're always
cost.
gonna, what are you gonna use less electric next year? Never.
No, and it's
Yeah.
going,
Well,
it's
that's
going,
what you're
it's,
saying with the EV vehicle. Like
Yeah.
we're adding all these electric vehicles,
yeah,
and how are we going to power them?
Yeah.
I mean,
Totally.
we're already
Yeah.
maxing out the grid.
What's
Mhm.
an interesting new trend is these EVs are becoming you can use them as a storage vehicle as well. In addition to a
nice.
vehicle, a storage solution. So I
Yeah.
think it's the Ford F-150. There's a few other ones. They
Really?
literally
Oh.
become the battery pack.
If
No, I
you have a
love
solar
that.
panel,
Yeah. So imagine, you're like in Michigan, it's the net metering program. So it's like you use what you got to use, and then it goes back to the utility company. Well, what if your car also became part of that usage, right? So you have a Ford F-150 or some other car that has a massive battery.
Yep.
You charge that up. That's solar that you're intaking, you're using for your house, and then you can actually use that to power your house too. And I think that's a really interesting solution. Instead of having a battery pack on the wall, it's in your car,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, I like that idea.
I mean, there's plenty of gripes with EVs and all
Mhm.
that stuff we could go into,
Yeah.
but I think this whole
There's an upside and downside to every
everything.
single
Yeah.
thing. And it's like, we
Especially when
just
it's
need to
bleeding
take a
edge
little
like
more
this
time
stuff.
to plan things out.
Yeah.
Anything, at some point in time too. I mean, listen, things are evolving, things are changing continuously, just like the roofing industry. Technology has evolved. And I talked a little bit about that with Chris that was on the show this afternoon. It's like, and with financing, so the roofing industry is now being introduced to being able to offer financing to homeowners. Well, the car industry has been doing it forever. When you go and purchase a car, you don't even look at the actual price. You just want to know if I can afford it each month or not. So why would buying a roof or solar be any different? I mean, everything else that you're purchasing or financing, you look at the monthly payment, right? So that's with getting solar on your house. That's the thing. So that's why a lot of financing companies are offering a 15, 20 or 25-year term because in hopes that you don't also still have an electric bill. Now you have, basically another mortgage on your freaking roof. We're trying to get rid of your electric bill. So how we do
you're
it
trying
through,
to match that cost. So if it's like $200 a month
Right.
on electric, you're
Yes.
also going to match it $200 a month.
in hopes
on
that
the
if you
solar
stretch
system.
it out over 25 years, that it's only $50. So you just replaced your $200 electric bill for a $50 solar bill.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So
Yeah.
what if the person decides to move after 5 years? How does that add to the equity of their home? Have you thought about that?
So I honestly think, and I think I've heard this, and I could be wrong, when I don't see why it wouldn't. I believe it would increase your property value by 17%. Now,
Why 17%? That's a really specific number.
and I say 17% because just from being around in the industry, I know if you reside your home, you get a 17% reinvestment. So if you're for easy math, I'm just going to say 10% because I'm about to have burnout. Okay. So if I'm selling my home is worth $150,000. It'll actually be worth $15,000 more if you just reside your home. So why wouldn't solar, an energy producing roof, add value to your home?
Right.
If we're at the settlement table right now, and I say my home has solar, you're no longer going to have an electric bill. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, your mortgage is going to be $12,000 a year, whatever that is, but you're not going to have the electric bill anymore. Like that would encourage me to want to buy this home sooner. So even if it doesn't add any value to it, you're going to probably turn around and sell your home a lot quicker and probably for more.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
So I don't know what that percentage would be.
And you're seeing a lot of traffic, for solar, you said, at this trade show.
See, and this is the thing too, that let's talk
super
about the difference between solar panels. A lot of solar panels are leased, and a lot of people don't know that.
Right?
Okay, so you can't
did
even
not know
sell
that.
your home unless that person qualifies to enter into that new lease. right now. But the solar that we provide is
Which
GAF
is-
Energy,
okay.
right? Which is the solar shingle. You own your solar.
Is that their new solar that's embedded in the roof? Or are you doing the one that's on top? Are you doing both systems? Like, what is?
That's a good
I'm not
question.
super familiar with their
No,
system.
I'm glad you asked that, and I wish I had a sample here. What it is, it's a solar panel in the shape and thickness of a shingle that you actually nail on just like a shingle, and there's a pigtail that's attached to the one end of it, and then you install the next one overlapping it just like you would a traditional asphalt shingle.
Can any contractor install that?
No.
Like, how does that? How
Unfortunately
does that work?
not. Well, you kind of get chosen.
You have to get certified.
First and foremost, you got to get certified. You got to get trained. You go through all this extensive training and stuff because let's face it, I mean, it's somebody's roof, it's somebody's home, and GAF warrants it for 25 years workmanship and manufacturer defect.
Okay.
The whole system.
The whole system.
Shingle and
So I just got a
solar.
Yes.
I just got a GAF roof last year.
You did?
Yeah, I did.
By who?
By GAF. No, it was Summit Point Roofing. Shout out to them.
Are they
Grand
Master
Rapids,
Elite or
Michigan.
just certified?
Master Elite.
Okay.
Yeah, they're great roofing company out of Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Yes.
Good friends with the folks over
So
there.
at some point in
But I didn't
time,
get solar. And
Yeah,
I'm like, what
but
if I want solar 5 years down the roof, or 5 years
years.
down the road,
Mhm,
you know, on my roof?
yes.
What would that look like? And I've always wondered, you know, would GAF be willing to, would they have to strip off the whole roof? You know, what does that look like?
It depends on what type of solar you go with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you could probably just tack it on top. And
Yeah, if it's the traditional, rack mounted
Okay.
system.
Okay.
Yeah, you go right over top.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
that's a great
unfortunately,
question.
the south facing side of my house is what faces the road. So like aesthetically, it's just not great. You know,
Yes.
it's
That's
got a
what
bunch of
the
trees
solar
in the
shingle is
backyard.
so great. Like
It is.
because
Why is
when
that?
you did that, they had the Decotech panel.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now that they have this solar
The
shingle,
one that's embedded.
you would actually, from aesthetically, you can barely tell. I mean,
No,
can
you
tell,
can
but
see it,
You can
but
see it, but
it's
doesn't
attractive
look-
looking.
It looks
Yeah.
good.
It really
I
is.
think I've seen it. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
looks good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
It's
we
not like
added
a
metal
raised-
standing seam to a reverse gable, and you can barely even tell the difference. Like it added to the
Kind of-
cosmetically, it like
looks
really
cool.
dressed the house up.
That's
It's
kinda cool.
beautiful.
Makes it
Yeah,
interesting.
it really is.
I got the light shingles from GAF. I don't know. It's kind of a statement.
Yeah.
I'm like an aesthetic statement.
What kind of
guy.
statement?
It's still, who gets light shingles on their house? Not a lot of people. But I like it. I got a white house.
Okay.
It's like kind of like
Makes
it almost
sense.
looks like washed out shingles. I love the look. It took a while for my wife to come around to it, but now she loves it too.
Good.
So, but I don't think they make light colored solar panels.
No.
That'd defeat the purpose.
No, but they do make a lighter color. They call it a solar, I guess the solar blended
Okay.
shingle. So
Yeah.
like the charcoal's not as dark as the regular charcoal. So they have lightened them up a little bit.
Yeah, I would love to someday install solar. I think there's so much just empowering communities to get off the grid, be more self-sufficient. There's not a
Well,
lot of
I tell you what I would love is to have you guys come out to our facility when we're installing one of the solar
Yeah, I would
shingle.
love to see
That would be,
sweet.
I think that would be great educational wise and just it's a really cool process to watch because there is some definitely talent or skill behind this. You know what I mean? It's taking roofing to a whole nother level for us and has created better paying jobs for within our company as well. That's one of
Okay,
the reasons
talk
why
about
we
that.
wanted
better
to-
paying jobs.
Yeah.
So that's interesting to me. So by offering solar,
Yeah.
you can now pay your employees better.
Yes. Now we're not quite at that point yet because obviously just because we got into the solar game about 12 months ago doesn't mean right away I can start paying everybody more money.
Sure.
But what happens is if the team can pull together and help promote this, get trained, get certified on it, the more that we do and the more people know that we do it, yes, it's going to provide at some point in time a better paying job when we can have a solar crew running every single day. Unfortunately, we're not quite at that point yet. And that's the point. It's opening up more opportunities for us as a company, for our helpers, for our help to be able to move up into so Derek, I have in the forefront of my mind right now. He's been running a window crew, I don't know, for probably the past 5 or 6 years. I see this being a wonderful opportunity for him to get him off the window crew, give him something else to do, and the opportunity to be able to get him more money for him and his family.
I mean, the reality is if you're doing 15, 20 roofs a day,
Yeah.
if you do one solar, that doesn't
No,
change the landscape.
No,
If
it
you're doing
hasn't yet,
5 of
unfortunately.
those
Yeah.
are solar, now it's changing things.
absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, if we come out, I'm gonna use LeadScout to scout the neighbors.
You know, what's cool is, like I said earlier, at the
You
home
catch
show
it.
this past weekend, a lot of people were interested in setting up appointments, and they sought after us to hey, we're looking to get solar on our home, blah 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 blah. So hopefully that might have something come to fruition for us. That way, you guys come out sooner than later.
I love it. That's a great idea. Were you pushing anything? And I'm trying to wrap this back to that trade show you were at, because I think you got so much traffic out of that. And you were telling us before the show, like, what was it, 50 leads directly? Like, that was like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So you got some good leads, and you expect to get more. You'll probably keep coming in, right?
Yeah. Residual is what I call it.
Residual leads. So what were you pushing there? Like, what was working? And what would you recommend? I mean, you're a larger contractor.
Yeah.
Smaller contractors, should they go to these home shows and be present there? Like, what's good strategies for each?
I mean, I could not tell you. I mean, to promote any contractor at any phase of where they're at in their career
It's probably not cheap to be there either.
It's not.
No, yeah.
I mean, well, it's a lot less expensive than coming to something like this.
Sure.
Okay. The best thing to probably do is join so I'm a part of the York Builders Association. So to become a part of a builders association, first and foremost, right off the bat, you're going to get a discount. And those are the people that are hosting these events. So wherever you're at in your local market, it could be in Michigan. I'm sure there's a Grand Rapids
there is
Builder Association. Join that, right? So right off the rip, you're going to get a discount, right? And then there's a couple other perks that come with that, right? So the biggest thing is the impressions, because when we first started to do this, our first one, I don't even know, we may have set 5 appointments. Right. So I chalked it up to branding. Right. So we need to be here in order to get out in front of the public's eye, let them know that we're here. By the second one, we started to set more appointments.
Ask when this was? Like, when did you start doing this?
Our very first one was probably 12 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 2010-ish. Something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. So it was more of like a branding thing. And then, of course, we got residual phone calls that came in. I thought, okay. And honestly, it doesn't matter how big the space or how much it costs. All it takes is one job to pay for it. If you're there and you're present and you're putting in the work.
It's about the relationships, not I mean, this is an amazing set you have here, Ty.
Yeah.
And I'm sure this gets you lots of action and wherever you're going.
Yeah.
But you just need a little backdrop. You need a couple banners. And your presence. It's all about the relationship.
Yeah, it is. And it's about the person standing in the booth.
Scale will come.
Yes. Yeah. Build it and they will come.
I was actually going to kind of make a joke that anybody in your area probably doesn't want to go to the home show, because when TC Backer is there, it's a show in the show.
It becomes our show.
I mean, those videos you put up were pretty incredible.
And it's a lot of work. See, this is the thing. Everyone's got an
the
imagination, right? The difference between highly successful and successful people is that they can make that imagination, that dream come to fruition. But that takes work. You just can't pull a magic wand out of your ass and say, hey, I want to put some scaffolding up, put some lights and hang some monitors. It doesn't happen. First and foremost, you got to have the vision, right? And then you got to have, not to even sound cliche, the integrators. No, you have to have a good team that's bought in. Like, if you ever hear this dude's so goddamn bought in, I can't get him to shut the fuck up. Once we leave here, dude, he's gonna have so many ideas popping up. Hey, I thought it, and he's feeding me, I'm feeding him, and it's like you just gotta find that team.
4 people behind the cameras right now that aren't on the front, but they're the
Vic,
integrators, right? They're killing it.
Vic, Javi, John's like has not left his laptop all day. You know what I mean? And then let's talk about the team that's at home doing what they do so we can do what we do, because we've done what we do so they can do what they do. Like, it's like this ever evolving, thing, for lack of better terms, that things I must earn, right? Over time of surrounding yourself around the right people, getting the right people on the seats in the bus, and then buying into your dream, right? And then your dream has to become big enough for their dreams. And I talk about this all the time, but it's getting so goddamn big, you know what I mean, to get everyone's dream in there. So when John's spreading the message when I'm not there, Glenn now is holding down the fort. Now his dream, now a part of my dream has become his dream. And now everyone that's under him, their dreams are fitting in his dream.
So 2010, you're out there, you got a little probably rickety, backdrop or something. It's just you at a table.
No, it was extravagant back then too.
Was it extravagant?
Yeah, pretty was. It wasn't 80 feet long. It may have been a 20 by 20, but back then it was still bigger than anything anyone else was doing.
But you got limited leads, but you're getting good brand impressions.
Yes.
Talk about, like, at that time, what were you doing for? You had the trade show, but you're not getting a ton of leads out of that. What else are you doing at that time? And then how do you shift
What were we
through the
doing?
years?
We of course branded our trucks. Yard signs is a big thing.
Okay.
Honestly, at that point in time, referrals was probably the biggest thing because for years I was an actual installer. So today we still get calls from referrals from back then. And
that's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes a lot
of sense.
And
this is like so let's fast forward to today. Now we're re-roofing roofs that we did 15, 20 years ago that had 3-tab roofs on it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. You stick and stay, it's bound to pay.
Cycle. Yep. And in 20 years, you'll get them again.
Yeah.
Because people value you.
Exactly.
You cared for them.
Right. And not just that, but their neighbors, their relatives, that's our brand.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's our brand. People whispering about us. That's our brand. We just had a conversation about this today.
Yep.
And those home shows are impressions. We talk about this all the time in marketing. 11 to 13 impressions before somebody who's never heard of you will call you.
7 or 10.
Yeah.
Up to
right. So what works my mind,
sure.
my thought is if they don't know who we are, we're not doing enough.
Yep.
Okay. But one thing, and you can ask John, poor John, because he listens to my dream all the time and makes it come to fruition. Right. So we're trying to close that gap. Right. If I can get 10 of those impressions by yard signs, billboards before they even got to that home show. Right. You got to think about those things. And that's the little pep talk, little speech that I do normally before everyone shows up. We do a big picture of the entire company at the home show. Is that, I had to rewind a little bit because I was talking about the impression. What impression are we going to leave here? Plus, how many impressions are they going to see? So I'm using the word impression in two different, help me, Joe, you're smart as shit, in two different texts, right? Okay. So impression, what impression am I leaving here? Am I leaving this a better place before I got here today? Any person that I came across today, what was their impression? How did they perceive me? Did I put a smile on their face? Right. Then the impressions on the way to the home show, right? So whether it be a truck at the gas station, the billboards, the yard signs in there, the Facebook ads, now we're at the home show because we have 2 sky tubes. So you see us as soon as you walk in the door, right? And you don't even see anything else. And nobody said we couldn't do that. Yes, everyone's butthurt over, but go buy a fucking sky tube. I'll tell you where I got it. You know what I mean? But that's the thing, the difference between drive, good to fucking great. Yep. And I'm sorry I added the fucking F word in there, but Chris and I had a conversation last night about good to great. And sometimes I can't take those good fucking conversations. Like it's good enough. And it's like, fuck good enough.
Let's be great.
Yeah, let's be great. And then from greater to fucking greatest, there's 2 more levels above that. And it's drive, it's determination. It's yes, my legs hurt. Yes, my throat's fucking sore right now. But yes, here we are at 5 p.m. And let me
we're the only ones here.
Why at 5 p.m. we're doing this is because this place is actually closed. And I didn't want this to go to waste because Vic made a good point. Like we drove 14 hours here to set this up to go poolside live at 7 p.m. I'm like, fuck no. We are going to do it live from Roofing Process at 5 p.m. So if anyone watching us is wondering why we're doing it at 5 p.m. It's fucking Vic's fault.
It's Vic's fault.
Well, and nobody wants to see us in the pool. Let's be honest.
No. But anyhow, not to go off on a tangent, but I pride myself in, like, I may not be the smartest person, which I say that, and I've said that a lot, and I'll circle back to that, but I'm smart enough to know that there's not many people in this building that will outwork me.
Yeah.
And I challenge that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I challenge myself. Vic and I had a conversation the other day. Like, no one's saying that, but like I have this third party person up here saying, you're not good enough. You're not working hard enough. And I challenge him, whatever that is. I'm challenging that on a daily basis, that I can be a better version of myself than I was yesterday. I can work harder today than I did yesterday.
Yeah.
I love that. Speaking of doing things that
third party. Oh,
that maybe you weren't allowed to do.
What was that?
This law firm.
Yeah.
Shown a
I love
huge
that
logo on the wall.
I love that.
Chad T. Wilson law firm.
I mean,
LLC.
there's no way they got permission for that, but they took
that
was awesome.
Ask for forgiveness.
I mean, everybody can see it. I mean, it's this massive.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. So we're gonna do that.
I loved it.
Behind the tool belt.
One of the first things I wanted. One of the first things I wanted to do for the LeadScout booth was just basically have a blank area on a backdrop, and then just buy a projector and just be like, whatever we want. If we want to live stream up there or just have a looping video on it, I think the projector idea is a great way to get some good exposure.
Or
you just shine that wherever,
or you shine it on
really,
the ground.
Yeah.
So the people walking by are walking over your logo.
Great.
There you go.
I want to
That was
pivot.
Chris
I want
Scoville's
to
idea.
Pivot.
That's a great. I want to pivot a little bit. So we're talking a lot about contractor life, and I know most
Boy.
of the people watching this are probably contractors. Chris, you're a leader of a tech company in the roofing space and home improvement space.
Mhm.
I'm a co-founder with you, but I don't want to talk about it. I'm going to ask you the question: like, what does all this stuff look like for LeadScout? Like marketing, visibility. And if you're not interested in this, just comment and be like, pivot back to contracting. But tech tool in this space, what's that all about?
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the things that we've figured out in the last, I don't know, 9, 12 months is how important it is to partner with like companies. And even in some ways, companies that have overlap with what we're doing. Right. And so, we've traditionally been heavily focused on manufacturing and distribution, which has been one of our best decisions as a go-to-market strategy, because they have a vested interest in the success of the contractor, and they're meeting with contractors every single day. And for us to present a piece of technology that works helps both of those parties, helps the contractor and helps the contractor's shingle rep, right, and their distributor rep. So that's been huge for us. But coming to these shows, it's really allowed us to now, because there's a lot of, I mean, I saw Atlas, GAF, or no, Malarkey. And so I've seen a couple of the manufacturers, but there are way more tools and technologies that are here that are helping the contractor. And it's not just one tool, right? It's not just, we do direct mail as part of our, mobile application and the canvassing app that we built. But, we met this text messaging company, right?
Everybody's doing like a little bit.
So why not how can we bring their technology into the experience so that the contractor isn't just getting impressions from drip, marketing, mail marketing, direct mail, but they're getting text message, emails, ringless voicemail, targeted IP digital ads. So I guess to answer your question is for us to really kind of surround ourselves with other tools like Roofle and Roofer and these tools like Instant Estimator that takes your conversion rate of 2%. So if any contractors that's listening to this that hasn't done a demo with Roofle or Roofer, you have to do that, because their data has shown you go from about a 2 to 3% conversion to like a 20% conversion. And I mean, they have the data to show you
by having just an instant estimate,
by having a strong call to action, like get an instant estimate, not give me your information and I might reach out to you in 24 hours to schedule a demo, right? Or schedule an inspection. I say demo because that's all we do, but just to schedule inspection. The homeowners, 80% of the home adults today are shopping online. I mean, 80%, I've kind of pulled that out of my ass. I'm sure 100% of adults shop online, let's be honest. But the reality is when you shop online, what's a part of shopping? What do you want to know when you shop?
The price.
The price.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for the cost of a roof or anything like that, if you're the website that shows them a price, you've just created value that the other websites that they went to were not able to do.
But what do you say to the companies that are like, no, my value is in the extras or the presentation, the value of the product and the service that I provide. It's not, I don't want to just be minimizing what I bring to the table by just giving a price. Like, what do you say to that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say the point of a tool, these Instant Estimator tools, is not to bring your value, but to give the homeowner value. The homeowner wants information. The value isn't to give a bid. The value isn't to sell the job. The value is to say, listen, I know what you're looking for. You want an idea of what this roof's going to cost. Okay. And I have the tools to provide that for you. So let me provide that for you. And then I'm also going to ask for your information in return. It's a nice even exchange. And then from there, then you can bring out the real value, which is sending Kevin Dingus, right? Jamie Bloom out there to say, hey, here's why you buy a roof from TC Backer Construction, right? Okay. And that price at $13,000 that they got at 9 p.m. at night the other night, it might be $15,800, right? Because there's all kinds of stuff that goes into the roof, and the homeowner doesn't care. Yeah. The homeowner wants to know, to your point, why am I buying a roof from you? And that's done in the home. But in order to get to the home, what kind of value?
So you're essentially making your sales reps' time more effective. Like by using tools like that, you're saying like you're getting rid of tire kickers and the people that are actually interested are going, so that you convert more.
Well, that's a huge
point. Is that what it is?
You just identified a huge point. you are identifying intent. If somebody fills out the rest of that form, after seeing it's 13.8, there's incredible intent there.
You know exactly.
Of course.
Right?
Which,
If
is,
they're
which
scared,
is also huge in the solar space.
If
It's
they're
intense
scared
to
of
buy
that,
solar,
if they're scared of that, why would you want to send Kevin out there?
Right.
If they're scared of that. Right.
Yeah.
So I think, from a web traffic standpoint, a digital traffic, it's in my opinion, a must-have. Now we're a little bit biased because when we put marketing out on behalf of our contractors, we want to make sure that marketing is compelling and has a strong call to action, because we want our efforts that we do with them to return results. So get a quote in 30 seconds is pretty compelling.
Yeah.
So we want our contractors utilizing these tools. But the reality is it extends so much further than that. I mean, what about if you're at a builder, a show, right? Or you're door knocking? What if you could just go, hey, I got this really cool tool on my iPad. Like, I can actually give you a rough ballpark of what this would cost, because I'm running a lead right over here. I'm doing a build right over here. So you can provide that value right at the door, right? So I just think it's kind of cool. So back to your original question, we need to surround ourselves with technology like those companies.
Yeah.
Shout out to Steven Spence at Project Map It. Every company, if you've done 100 roofs, make sure those are on your website, because where's your office? Your office is in Dover, right? But it's actually all those jobs that you did.
Yeah.
Those are your offices. So when people want to know, well, can I trust TC Backer Construction? Well, you've got thousands of offices around Central PA. Yeah. And so what Project Map It does is allows the homeowner to see, wow, this company's actually the neighborhood roofer, and they're integrated with Company Cam, and you can see the pictures of the jobs. You can see the reviews, which I can't speak on the SEO side of that, but I know it has a impact when you have Google reviews on all of those job sites that are on your website. That has an impact.
Yeah, pictures of the job and
that's
colors.
one of the first things people look for is well, what's the reviews of this company? Right.
Yeah.
So as a tech company, we just want to surround ourselves with those tools and visibility. We kind of go back to the original conversation about impressions and just being known and seen. I think there's a lot of work that we have to do. I think a lot of people are still like, what's LeadScout?
Yeah.
And so, sponsoring Behind the Tool Belt and just coming to these shows.
Not just what, but who is LeadScout?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's
and that's why we're here.
Yeah.
For
sure.
Yeah. So to speak into this a little bit, so I come from tech. That's where I built my career, and then I've subsequently come into LeadScout. I've been building this tool in the home improvement space. So home improvement isn't my it's not where I came from, but it's what I've really been learning, and I've got a lot of smart people around me that can tell me what to do. But from the tech space, roofing in this home services industry, I'm gonna generalize here, but about 5 years ago, I think the big turn on for this service sector was CRMs. How do I manage my customers? How do I bring tech into my organization and manage my stuff, organize it, right? That would have been a little bit delayed from a lot of the tech forward companies. Like CRMs have been around since the 90s, or early 2000s, whatever. I found that roofers and home service sector, customer management started to become a thing 5 to 10 years ago. It was becoming a very focused thing. But then what happened in the last 5 years is everybody said, well, now I'm managing my customers. Probably almost everybody has a CRM. There's not very many contractors that haven't at least entertained the idea or have some, mechanism that's tech focused to manage their customers. But what people are focusing now on is the integration. How do those things talk to each other, right? So we're seeing this phase be talking to each other. Okay. So you have to there's a lot of tools out there. You have to pick the right ones. We call it a home improvement tech stack, right? So have your CRM, but also how are you managing your marketing, right? And once you have your CRM, how are you managing your project? Maybe that's a Company Cam, right? Then how are you managing your referrals? And then how are you managing? You have to have that whole tech stack built out. But those things have to talk to each other. So we're focused on that a lot with LeadScout. How do we integrate with other tools? And so then the next phase of this is really going to be so now we have the tech stack talking to each other. And in home services, the next phase of this is really exciting because it's going to be okay, now we're going to start seeing companies kind of merge together, and we're going to have tools that do multiple things, not just a CRM, but also quoting tool, not just a quoting tool, but also a marketing tool, not just a marketing tool, but also, you get the idea. And then take that the next step will be the integration of, I know these are buzzwords, but AI and automation via like artificial intelligence and stuff in the roofing space. I'm really excited about the future of roofing for tech. But right where we are today is your tools have to be talking to each other. You have to be syncing the data between tools in an effective way so that your sales reps can, take a prospect, turn it into a lead, turn it into a job, turn that job into a referral, and that referral becomes your next prospect. And that has to be a full life cycle. If you're not doing that, you're going to start to fall behind a lot of other contractors. And so I think the contractors that are really moving from good to great are the ones that are starting to really turn that on this year.
This is a great topic too, especially because one of my passions right now is to try to help early on contractors. And my feeling about the whole entire tech space, of course we need it. If we're going to stay relevant, you need it. Right. But I think what happened and what is happening right now to a lot of the newer contractors is they're getting overwhelmed with all of the technology. And I think a lot of people were feeding on those types of contractors that are between the 1 to 5 year, right? And my suggestion would be is go with 3. Go with 3. You need QuickBooks and you need a CRM. And then whatever you feel fits. Could be Company Cam, could be LeadScout. It could be, but that's more of a marketing aspect. LeadScout is. But figure that like I just think there's so much and I feel like there's so much stuff out there. And for me, even me being in business for a while, you can get so overwhelmed and a lot of this stuff overlaps.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's doing the same thing, but you don't even know that it does. There's so much out there going on right now. And I think it can be overwhelming and challenging.
So you can see Ty's in the space now where he's got the systems. They're talking to each other, and now Ty's like, we got to make these efficient. That's the phase of growth you're in,
right?
And so that's that next phase of growth is you're like, how can we optimize our tech stack in a way where
and the
everything
worst
is efficient?
Place to be at is having tools, right, and having them not communicate, right? So we've created like our own CRM over the years, right? Like so, which we thought was, but it was QuickBooks, it was Google Calendar, Excel spreadsheet. So we have 3 or 4 different tools that we're using, and we have 4 people entering the same data in 4 areas that aren't communicating. And that's why technology today to stay relevant is so important. But don't get caught up in the hype that you need this and you need that. And I don't want to say specific, apps or whatever that
they
you
all
need.
yield value, but
they all do.
You have to be very careful with how you build your tech stack.
Yes,
sure.
When we were at SRC, roofers breakout session, Nick was talking about how you don't implement technology to fix a process. So to your point,
people rush to that.
Don't just start signing up for these things hoping that's going to fix. Like, you have to have a process. So for those that are looking to sign up for LeadScout, that's one of the things we talk about. Like, are you prepared to implement this process, or do you have that process in place today? Because if you don't, you're just going to be spinning your wheels. You're going to be paying us a monthly subscription and not really getting any value out of it. And so unless you have that process in place, the tool is not going to fix it. The tool will supercharge, and that's the key.
Yeah, if you're using it correctly and efficiently. Like let's go back to a CRM, right? There's so much work that goes into building out your CRM, regardless of what it is. You you have to get all of your material cost in there. You have to get all of your labor cost in there, and that's just like the tip of the iceberg. So, but I feel like if you're going to be a roofing contractor early on, I think one of the very most important things that you need to implement is that CRM. Like, the sooner you start building that out, the better off you're going to be. Don't wait till you're an 8-figure contractor and try to build out your CRM, because it's just it could take months, if not years, to get everything in there. So now you got it. So now how does it work? Like, what all does it do? Like, there's so many different things based upon whatever CRM you have. I mean, it may have a photo taking option in there, so you don't need Company Cam. So like, learn your CRM inside and out, then figure out what tools you need to bolt onto that, before you go and start buying apps and stuff.
Here's a secret about LeadScout, guys, is that everything that we implement that you see, if you're using the product that you see, started out not as tech. It started out as somebody getting that elbow grease going on the table and doing it, right? It's like we scale up what we see working physically and personally into tech.
Our first
Yeah, and everybody needs to be doing that. And you can tell a million stories about this.
Our
I'll let you
first
riff on
year,
it.
we actually hand wrote 20,000 handwritten notes.
And the question was like, is this
in
working?
my basement?
Is this working? And yeah, and at 20,000, we said, this is working.
This is working, but not working for me.
Yeah, but not working for me.
And
so then we turn it into tech and we automate it, and we start introducing robots and APIs and all that stuff. And so, but that's what you have to do for your roofing business too, is like find what's working, get your sales reps out there, establish a process, get the traction with your customers, and then turn it into tech. Right? Adopt the tech on top of what is working for you. Don't adopt the tech and think that that's going to fix something for you.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah. I did want to just mention something, X's and O's, having been, helping TC Backer for the last couple of years now or longer, and seeing how you guys have come along in terms of the way our platform is now communicating with job progress. And I got to give a shout out to Mike, because since you brought him on, and I know why, and now I know why you did, for many reasons, but one of them is his intimate knowledge of job progress and what he's been able to do with the macros. And
so
the
much
way
more
that we're able to literally trigger these neighborhood campaigns for you. As soon as you create that lead, that appointment in JP, it triggers that LeadScout campaign. I mean, that integration has literally saved you guys probably hours a week.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
And has created the consistency that you wanted. And
it really has.
So anyways, I just think it's really neat to see how you guys transition from not having one to putting JP, making those improvements.
Yes.
Mike comes in and the team surrounding him.
Yeah.
You just continue to press the boundaries of what JP can do. And I think, there's some really great proposal tools out there like Sumo Quote, and Roofer's got a great proposal, but JP's got one. And I think you guys are probably starting to use that now. I mean, just because it's there.
It is.
Right? It's built in.
And that's what I meant by, figure out the tool first before you start trying to bolt other things on, because it may already do it. And I'm saying that because that was one of my biggest learning curves with our CRM, is to come to find out what does all of these things already. We just got to clean it up and figure out how it works so we can present ourselves well, so we can leave a great impression with the tool. Did it fix our process? Not until we figured out how to use it.
Yeah.
Then we were able to excel, and push it further. Like you said, with Ippy coming on board, I mean, he's helped see our business. Every business is unique to a certain extent. Okay. The way that we operate in the type of business and the work that we do, we've had to learn how to manipulate our CRM, and our CRM has helped us manipulate it to what fits how we operate internally and externally.
This isn't a unique problem to home improvement too, guys. Like
really.
every industry, and I've worked across a lot of sectors. I was a consultant for about a decade before I started doing stuff in home improvement. Like everybody that is scaling, and it has reached like a good scale too, they've adopted systems and they've extended those systems to the breaking point, so much so that a lot of people will like hire developers, at scale. They'll hire developers to be like, can you do a custom thing on top of this? They tack, and it gets so bloated, right? And it's painful at a certain scale. But this is just what everybody's doing. And I'll give you guys another secret. Like, I've worked with Apple, I've worked with Coca-Cola, I've worked with Chase Bank. Like, I've worked with a lot of big organizations. They're as big of a mess as the smallest contractors just getting started. Like, they're not, even Apple, guys, is messy internally. So it's okay to be messy.
It is.
But what's not okay is not to have a process that's working. So again, I just say, like, focus on the traction. If anybody's familiar with like EOS or Traction, there's a book called Traction. It's an operating system for a business. Like, they just focus on like what's working in your business to get your dollars in. So like, get the revenue in, make sure it's profitable, make sure your overhead is less than your profit, so that you can then become a sustainable business over time. Right. And if you're not doing that, if you don't have like external funding to kind of like bring that to life, you're gonna have to figure out something. You got to make your business a solvent business over time by finding processes that work. And there you have it, right? That's the process
in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Yep.
What a great topic. I mean, or topics.
Yeah.
That we've had.
Know what we were going to talk about tonight.
Yeah, I know.
Just the great.
We covered some ground.
Yeah, that's how we roll.
We love it.
That's raw and authentic and uncut. Yeah. Well, I think where are we at? Our damn near 5 minutes. We got 5 minutes left. Okay, so we're going to stick to straight 60 minutes. Okay.
Well, should we do like an end cap question?
Yeah.
I was trying to think of one earlier, and I think we've all
Yeah.
answered the question, like, what gets you up in the morning? So does anybody have any other ideas? Shout them out from the crowd. Anybody?
Yeah. Not
Anything
necessarily.
in the comments?
How about this? What because I don't know if anyone's ever asked you, what drew you to the tech space? Just in a 5-word sentence.
In a
5 words. Good luck with
Yeah.
that.
Well, I don't want it to go into another 30.
Okay. No.
I'll give you 15. How's that? 15 words.
Well, I'll kind of go back a little bit. Like, so I was raised. Well, first of all, I grew up overseas. I grew up in Africa. We didn't have any technology there. Like, I barely had a VHS. I think we'd watch one movie a week or something. That was a treat on like a tube TV.
Yeah,
like a little tiny thing. So I wasn't really exposed to tech until I moved back to the United States in 2001, and that was like .com bubble had burst. So there was a lot of like the first internet companies had failed, right? But there was this new resurgence of the ones that had survived that and were starting to grow. So one that comes into mind is like eBay. MySpace was big at the time. There was a site called Zanga, and Zanga was basically a MySpace, right? So I made a profile. I was just like 13 years old. Made a profile because I could keep in touch with my friends back in Africa, back in Tanzania, because they also had Zangas. And what I found was you could actually control the code on that page. So you could change the background. I'm a big soccer fan, so I would change my background to like whoever's the hot soccer player, right? Like, so I like had like, I had Ronaldo, I had Beckham, and there's like this cool like repeating thing. So I was actually editing code. That opened my eyes to like how things are built, and I realized like, oh, people build things. I'm a person. I'm 12 years old, but I can build things too. And then my next phase of growth was actually I found eBay, and I was 12 years old at the time, so I was not like legally allowed to use eBay. I think you had to be 13. But I started to like sell stuff around the house that just kind of was like gathering dust. I don't think my parents even knew this. Mom, if you're watching, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I was wondering where that vase went.
There was an instance where I got caught selling something I shouldn't have sold. That's the story for the next one. But I started to sell stuff on eBay and collect money by what do they call those cash things you could money orders you can get from the bank, right? So I'd like get money orders in and go to a bank and like cash those at the bank, and it was like I had to go around the loophole of being like not old enough to do any of this stuff. But that was my first business, was selling my parents' stuff on eBay. I made tens of dollars doing this, but great for a 12-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Then I finally got a real job at a greenhouse and was planting and doing all that stuff for a while.
Okay,
that's my tech origin story.
Yeah, no, that's good.
There's a lot more to it.
I think I've been wanting to ask you that for a while.
Yeah.
Because you're definitely a bright dude, and this space needs you. The roofing space needs guys like you. So don't feel bad that you didn't come from a roofing background or anything like that.
I've had to embrace that over time, because it sometimes feels like I should know more about roofing, but I've had to like lean into the fact like there's a lot of people around me that know a lot about roofing, so I just need to rely on you guys.
Exactly, same thing. Vice versa. I need you. You get fight back and forth, but
the rest of the story about tech and SaaS and all that stuff.
That could be a whole nother story.
I'll add something to that really quick. I promise. What you've done to, like, from a social media standpoint and in putting yourself out there and in sharing what we're doing at LeadScout with this industry, having not come from this industry, is really has been a lot of fun to watch. And I think it just shows what we all, the mentality we should all have. I was talking to Pro Nail down in Texas, and the owner of that, Catherine, I think I'm getting your name right. I'm sorry, Catherine. Hopefully she's watching, because everybody should be watching this. And she started doing solar. And she's like, I don't know how to sell solar. We don't know anything about solar. She goes, I just tell people it's an electrified shingle. But I thought about you in that, like, she doesn't know that world. She's a roofer, but she's out there hitting the street. She was literally in the neighborhood against her truck on this call with me. And she's like, I'm just selling it. People tell me about it, so I'm selling it. In the same way, like with you, it's like when you talk about techniques for these roofers, you've never sold a roof in your life, but you're out there sharing what you're learning. And I think we can all take a lesson from that.
Absolutely.
And
so
anyways, I
appreciate that. I think what I'm trying to do with LeadScout is we hear so much from contractors. We hear so many stories. And for me, a lot of it is just saying, like, here's what I'm seeing working. Here's some trends, here's what contractors are telling me that they're seeing work. So
and it's kind of nice too to have a fresh set of eyes on the industry right now too.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Some of us have been in it so long, it's kind of like it's so close, but you're kind of still at 1,000-foot view right now, so you can help us clean this shit up a little bit with your new insight and the things
Joe
that
will say stuff that I'm like, I don't know if that works, but that's because he hasn't been there. But it's good that you say it.
Yeah,
because
it is.
Well, we don't know until you freaking try it.
Yeah, right. You know, fresh set of eyes, man. That's and perspective too. You know, for someone that's not been in it for a minute. But going back to, we need you guys that, you know, maybe not so much you because you no, I'm saying because you
step right over there, please.
Yeah, came from
need
a
you guys,
roofing.
the two of you, but just one of you.
Yeah, not you, half of you. So one and a half of you we need.
Part-timer.
Right. No, because you have a roofing background, Chris.
Yeah.
You've come from this space, but we just, you know, it's great where the roofing industry is right now, and the smart young lads that are coming up through helping push this industry to a whole nother level of where it has never seen before, between social media, the technology that you guys offer and are bringing to the table with the fresh new ideas and techniques. You know, who would ever thought there would have been an instant estimator bolted onto your website? Who would have knew that when I give our salespeople an address, that I could give them 20 other addresses of owner occupied homes, and then the app that comes with it, you know, to qualify those apps to then launch a drip campaign. What?
Right.
Like, where is this
Back
going? This sounds like Star Trek shit to me.
What's a drip campaign?
Yeah, what's a drip campaign? Yeah, what is that? Like, it sounds
cool.
All right, I want to bring this home for us, guys, and end cap on this discussion.
Yes, bring it home, baby.
Here's the question. Yeah, you guys got like 5 seconds to answer this. A place in your past that's dear to you. Could be a city, it could be a restaurant, it could be anything small. Think about that for a second. I'll start because I'm the one talking, and I'll let you guys think. I mentioned I grew up in Africa earlier. There's a little village I grew up in, truly a village. Like when you think of village in Africa, it's probably what you're thinking, mud huts and all that stuff. My parents were missionaries, and it's a little town called Kahunda. It's kind of like a port village now. They put in a port. That place for me, near and dear to my heart. Lots of great people there. I don't keep in touch with as many as I should, because they don't have, a lot of people there don't have cell phones and stuff like that, or internet. But it's a place where I was born and raised. So I got some roots there.
Yeah.
Love that. That's a great question. I'll go next. The Mackinac Bridge. The first 13 years of my life, it was a family tradition that on Labor Day, it's the one day out of the year that they shut down the bridge. One side of it, and you can walk across the bridge. It's a 5-mile bridge that spans the lower peninsula to the upper peninsula
of Michigan.
Yeah, look at that. The first 13 years of my life, we would go up there, stay at the KOA, and I just loved walking across that massive bridge. And
that's awesome.
It's a cool memory.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So I kind of have two. So first, I'll start off with. There's this place called High Rock, which is in an area called Penmar. So Penmar is short for Pennsylvania, Maryland. So there's a place where you can hang glide. It's this big rock that oversees the valley. So you can see Pennsylvania and Maryland from there. And a part of my mom was up there, and that was one of her wishes. So then we could oversee her, because down below on the PA side, right on the Maryland border, is a cemetery called Harbaugh Church, which is along Harbaugh Church Road, and you can actually see it from up there. So between where she is, her final resting place, and High Rock, that you can actually see from, you know, you can see High Rock from Harbaugh Church Road. You can see Harbaugh Church Road from High Rock. So that's definitely one of them. And I would say upstate New York, where I was originally born in Rome Hospital, that's where my roots are. So all of my aunts, my uncles, my dad and I have built a cabin up there in the Adirondacks, and there's definitely a part of me still there. And I know that's probably where my dad's going to end up at some point in time. So I'm kind of split between both places that either I could go at any given time, you know, and feel at home and at peace.
Love that.
Yeah.
That's a great question. Good,
yeah, it was.
Good way to send us off.
Yeah, man.
So what's the final thing you say, Ty?
The final thing to say is, man, thank you guys so much for tuning in. This has been a wonderful ride. Thank you for tuning in every single week. I know our people are on here watching. I mean, mad people are on here watching. So thank you guys for tuning in every week. Thank you guys for what you're doing for our industry. Thank you for the team behind the scenes here on the cameras. And thank you to everyone back home busting their ass to make this possible for us. So thank you guys so much. Is there any final words that you want to say other than
No.
peace out, Girl Scout?
Peace out, Lead Scout.
Peace out, Lead Scout.
See you all next week.
Yes. See you all next week.
Let's do 165 together.
That's right.
Peace.